Hey guys, I just wanted to show you a cam lock that I bought from Ace Hardware, and I've just been doing some test fits on some scrap plywood here, just drilling some preliminary holes and testing different ways to do this with panel bits so that I can do it in one shot and not have any problems with my panel. I sure don't want to have to recut that panel because it's got such a good fit now, and it requires a good bit of hassle to cut a big sheet like that and to cut a 45 degree on the bottom of it. So I want to make this hole right the first time and not monkey it up. But anyway, I've got it installed on this piece of plywood here, and if you actually look, I've got it set so that the lock is recessed. Now that's not really necessary, but the reason I had to do it was because I bought a 1/2 inch lock. And the only reason I did that was in the store I didn't have anything to measure by, and visually it sure looked like this 1/2 inch was big enough to go through the full 3/4 inch material. And it is really, but there's some extra pieces that you have to put on, and you have to make sure that nut goes up on there on the threads a decent amount so you can tighten it down. So you have to leave a little allowance there. So to make it fit this 3/4 inch thick piece of wood, I did a recess hole here and used a shows a 5/16. I actually didn't use a 5/16. I used a 1 inch bit. I don't know why I've got this over here, but I used a paddle bit just like this, but it was 1/16 inch bigger. It's a 1 inch paddle bit, and I made first a hole that only went down probably about 1/4 of an inch, maybe 1/8 of an inch, and just enough to recess the head of the lock there. It's somewhere between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch thick, and then I come back before I bored all the way through the wood, and I put the point of this 3/4 inch bit here down into the same point that was being made by the 1 inch paddle bit, and I continued to bore on through the wood until I got all the way through. And so that left a 3/4 inch hole that this cylinder would fit down into, and I could fasten it up on the back with the nut. And this is from Ace Hardware. Like I said, they do make a 3/4 inch model. It seems like they may even have a 1 inch version, but this is the chrome. They had some that was, I think, nickel, and they might have had a black. And there's the item number in case you guys want to try this same one. It's probably slightly different for the 3/4 inch version, but the 3/4 inch version wouldn't have required it to be recessed, but to be honest, I kind of like that. It looks kind of neat to me. And nothing will be sticking off, it'll be flush, so if you wanted to push it all the way against the wall, that lock wouldn't bump, you know, a piece of sheetrock or anything and scuff it up or anything, which you probably wouldn't do that anyway because you got baseboard or base molding in most rooms. But anyway, we just did the installation here, and I think that's exactly how we want to do it. Probably need to put it just slightly closer to the upper edge of the removable panel because we do want this to fit behind the upper panel. I'll just show you real quick right here. It's going to be installed on this panel. So imagine this is that panel. It's going to be installed just like that, and that piece that flips up is going to go up behind the panel that's non-removable on the upper part of the cabinet, and that's what's going to lock it in place. But as you can see, there is a slight bit of difference there. You don't want the door jiggling around, so what I want to have to do is on the inside of the upper removable panel, I'm going to have to install either a thin piece of wood, maybe a 1/2 inch piece of stock on the inside just to give this something to lock behind, or I might use some type of metal plate. But like I say, we want to move this lock even closer to the edge, like it would be right as you're looking at it now. It'll be up once it's on the panel. We don't want it right there because you do get some holding, but we want it to go up even higher, so we want to put the lock up just a little bit more. And that's the way it'll be installed, and I'll get to doing that in a minute. I might show you a clip or two of it. Okay guys, we got the removable panel off of the back of the main cab there, and this is the upper part there, and we've made us a mark. We've came in, this is a perfectly 2 foot wide piece of plywood, and we came across right at the 12 inch mark, and we made us a little cross there. It's exactly 1 inch down from the right hand side there. What's the right hand side now? It's actually the top of the panel. So it's that mark is 1 inch down from the top of the panel. So whenever we drill a 1 inch hole, it's going to leave a 1/2 inch of space between the hole that the lock is going to recess into and the upper lip of this board. So right now we're going to put this in the tripod, and I'm going to go ahead and make some make some shavings here. I'll just go ahead and let you watch me do that. And I do have a piece of scrap wood behind there so it doesn't go through into the carpet. And this first indentation, this is done with a 1-inch paddle bit. See if you guys can see that. Got a big one on it. This is a 1-inch paddle bit, and this is going to be so that I can recess the lock into there. And I may have to stop and then re-drill again a second time because I have to check the depth of this. But we want to put the starter point of this paddle bit right dead on our cross there. And like I say, it's exactly 1 inch down from the top, and it's 12 inches from either side. We're just going to go into it maybe about 1/8 of an inch or so and then check and see how that looks with the lock mechanism, and then we may have to go a little deeper after that. We're just going to check and see what it looks like. Okay, it hasn't went very deep yet. Let's go back in there a little farther. And again, it's good to stop every once in a while and check. It's better to check too often than not often enough. Go just a little deeper. So I'm going to have to put a charge on my battery. Let me check the depth with the lock mechanism so I'll get the head of that lock. Okay, so we got the head of the lock here, and we want to make sure that just the chrome part you see right there recesses so that it will be pretty much flush. So we're just going to lay it in there. Looks like we had to go a little bit deeper. And I'm not quite sure I want to be able to with my drill right now. It seems like it's losing power. So I might have to charge the battery up. Let me see. Yeah, we're probably going to have to charge it up before we can finish the hole. So I'll cut and I'll come back in a few minutes. Okay guys, sorry for the interruption. I should have started with a fresh battery. I've just gave it a quick charge, so I hope it's enough to finish up what we're doing here. Hopefully it is. We're going to go just a little deeper on this hole. Oops, sorry, bumped the camera. Let's try that. Looks like it's just about got it, just a little more. Oh, I'm gonna throw throw my lock around the room. If you lean these paddle bits, you'll get one side. Like right now, this side over here is deep enough, but the side over here is not quite deep enough. It's because I was leaning the paddle bit just a little bit. So I just got to come back and put a little more pressure back here on this side to just kind of even the depth of the hole up a little bit. Now, if you got a drill press, you won't have that problem. Doing it just by eyesight and by feel, it's sometimes a little bit of a problem. Just a little more. Just a hair more. I think that'll probably do it. Still sitting just a little proud back on its back edge. There we go. Looks pretty good. Now all we have to do is take and run our 3/4 inch drill bit all the way through. What we're going to do is we're going to start it, and then we're going to flip the board over and finish it from the other side. That way it doesn't tear out on the other side. We'll start it, we'll go in some, and as the point busts through the other side, the full paddle bit, this point will be going all the way through, but this paddle bit, or the one that we put in, the 3/4 inch, will only go in just 1/8 of an inch or so, and then we'll flip the board over, we'll find our hole that this point made, and we'll start in from the other side, and we'll finish the 3/4 inch hole, and that way it'll be nice and clean on both sides. There won't be a bunch of splintering on the other side. So just give me a second to change this bit out. Okay, so just like the 1 inch bit, the 3/4 inch has a point on there. It's almost identical. So all you can do is, all you have to do is just take and put that point right back in the hole where you was doing the 1 inch, and you start doing a 3/4 inch, and it'll be perfectly centered inside the 1 inch. So you just set it down in there, get your stuff lined up, and just start slow. Oops. I gotta put it on drill setting. I had it on a screwdriver setting. And see, this bit is a lot sharper than my 1 inch. My 1 inch has been about used to death, so this is gonna go through it really quick. So we're not gonna go all the way through. We're gonna go through a little more than this. See how deep we are. Go a little bit farther. Okay, we're going to go ahead and flip it now. I think we got a little over 1/4 inch to go to get through the entire thickness. I'm going to grab my vacuum and clean this up. I'll flip the board over and we'll be back. Okay guys, we cleaned up a little bit of our mess there. I just wanted you to see That's what'll happen when you do the 1 inch paddle bit and then you put the 3/4 inch down in it. You see it makes a pretty good little recess there so that the lock mechanism can recess down into there. And we're almost all the way through. You're seeing down in the hole, it's actually going into our backup stock there. If I move it over, you can see we're almost through there. It's only got about 1/4 inch on the back. I'm going to flip this over right now. Let me set the camera on the tripod. Flip this over. And if you see here on the back side, you can see the hole there that was made by the bit. I'll zoom in a little bit. Okay, so we're going to take and stick the paddle bit back in. We'll take the point of the bit there and put it right back in this hole, and that should guide us. We just want to go as straight as possible, and it should fall right back into the 3/4 inch hole on the other side. Here we go. Wood's a little thicker than you think. Oh, well, it has popped through. Let me just clean it up a little bit. Pop through on the other side. Got a little bitty tiny piece actually broke loose there. But yeah, I need to clean it up just a little more. You don't want to wallow it out, you want to be careful. I'm going to clean this up and I'll come back and start assembling the lock and put it in the hole. Okay guys, we got the lock mechanism for the back cover all finished. As you can see, once you put the back in, you just give it a turn, pull the key out, and it's locked. Now I don't have a handle to pull on this now, so I can't really show you, but I can use the key. If you turn it about halfway, let's see. Which way does it go? Okay. If you turn it, well, I'd say turn it just a little less than halfway. I can actually pull on it kind of like it's a handle, and it'll lean it out. But if you can see right there, that's the fully locked position. It comes out probably close to 1/2 inch right now. And that's because the little lever that rotates there, I've got it set to rotate 180 degrees. And these locks, it comes with a little adapter that you can change out on the back side of the lock before you put that that little toggle, that piece of metal onto the lock mechanism. And that little adapter can make it to where when you turn the keys, either it stops at 90 degrees or you can turn it a full 180 degrees. And I don't know, I just kind of liked 180 degrees, so I've got the adapter in there that lets this turn all the way around and it'll be pointing down. So right now it's pointing up and it keeps it from coming off, which, to be honest, you could leave it this way if you want, but I want it to lock in even tighter than this. So I'm going to put a small strip of wood on the back side of this panel here on the inside of the cabinet, and it'll make that piece lock even tighter in. So I'll show you right now exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. Now see if I can get into view what I'm talking about with the lock. That little piece of metal there, excuse me, I got a piece of candy in my mouth. Haha. But that little piece of metal right there, it's got a little more clearance than what it needs to go behind that upper panel. And we're just going to put a piece of wood in. And I'm going to use this little piece right here. And it's just a strip of wood. It's a little less than ½ an inch thick, but it's more than1/4 inch. So I don't know, it's somewhere in the middle. I haven't measured it. But this is a piece that I was just taking some square wood stock that I had that was rounded. It came that way from the store, and I was just cutting little slivers off to do some Christmas projects. I think it was a year ago for Christmas, and this is just some leftover I had. It's about 1 foot long, about 12 inches long, about the size of a ruler, but thicker. And it's the exact thickness that you need to make up the difference between this panel here and that little lever that rotates into place to lock the back panel on. And what's good about it is it's rounded. If you can take a look at the end of it, it's rounded on the corners, and I want to put it flat against the inside of the cabinet and leave the rounded corner so that whenever that lever rotates, it won't have any problem coming up over a sharp edge or anything. It can come up over the rounded corners. And I'm trying to make my mind up whether I want to screw this into place or just glue it, because I do have some screws that are small enough that you can just run it through there and put maybe 3 or 4 screws in and screw it to the wood. But I know I'm going to put a little wood glue with it. And to be honest, since it's not going to have a lot of pressure on it, it's not going to really be needed to support anything. It's just making up that thickness difference there. Just some wood glue would really be adequate. And I could just put wood glue on it and stick it in place and clamp it and just leave it sitting that way for a good while. But you know, I'm not sure. I'm going to think about it for a few minutes and look at some of the screws I have, and you know, see if that is something that I want to do. I may just glue it in place. I think, you know, aesthetically it would look better just being glued in place, but it's going to be on the inside of the cabinet and you're not going to see it. So either way, but I'll come back in a few minutes and I'll kind of show you what I've done with this. And let me show you another little option I was thinking about putting on this back panel. This is a little pull handle. It's called a flush ring pull, zinc plated, which that means it's a little more resistant to you know, weathering or corrosion, oxidation, different stuff like that. But it's kind of plain looking. I'm not sure if I want this on the back of the cabinet. I mean, you know, it's I don't know how to describe it. It's just a little plain looking, and I don't want to paint it. I would leave it chrome if I put it on there, and it's not exactly chrome. You know, it's kind of a dull finish. It's bright enough, but it's not as you know, it doesn't have as much luster as the chrome finish on the locking mechanism that we put on. But you have to when you install it, I don't know if you can see in the picture, but you actually have to use a chisel or something and dig you out a recess in the back of it, I think 3/8 inch deep, so a little less than ½ an inch. 3/8 inch deep, you have to dig out a recess for this to sit down into, because the handle is set so that it is flush, just like I've done the lock, so that you can push it all the way back against like a flat wall or something. But I don't think it would bump anything anyway, like I said, because most walls have base molding and stuff on there, so even if it's stuck off a little bit. But that would just make it a little bit easier to pull the panel loose. And also you can, you know, hang on to that if you were taking the panel out and moving it somewhere, so you wouldn't accidentally drop it if you were hanging on to it by the edges. But you know, I couldn't find anything at the local Ace that was really what I was looking for. I looked at some handles in the cabinet area and stuff like that, and I need to go to a larger store. Our Ace is very small in this little town, but Lowe's and Home Depot are in the next town over, and I may go there and just take a look and return this, because this sucker was $6. And to be honest, I think it was listed on the store shelf as $5, and they charged me like $6 or $6.80 or something for it. So they overcharged me. I still have the receipt and I haven't opened it, so I may just return it and find a better suitable, you know, design of a handle or something, you know, something more suitable at the larger stores in the next town, and you know, might just buy that. So anyway, I'll let you know what I do before it's all over with. Okay guys, we've modified our piece here. I cut it down to 8 inches on the table saw, and you can see I've already pre-drilled it, and I used one of our spade bits to create some recesses down in there. And we got 4 black screws right here. These are just 4 extra wood screws that I had, and they're already black, so if I paint the inside of this, you know, there won't be any chrome showing or anything. And they fit down through there, and they have probably about 1/4 of an inch or so that sticks out behind there, you know, going to the cabinet. But we're going to use wood glue mainly to hold it, so we're going to put some wood glue across the back of this, put it up in place and clamp it, and then we're going to run the screws in. So we'll put that on and we'll come back and show you what it looks like in a second. You see we've already got the holes pre-drilled into there. We clamped it, measured out, and we drilled the holes in such a way that the locking mechanism that comes up in the center of this piece of wood there, it won't be interfered with by the heads of the screws or anything in any such way, even though they're recessed. You just didn't want them in that area. So show you the results in a few seconds. Okay guys, we got it installed. Didn't put too awful much wood glue on there, but we put enough on there to hold it. Got all 4 screws fastened all the way down, so pretty much this piece is done. We're just going to show you in the next clip. We're going to come back and put the back on and show you how it locks up good and tight. Just put this newspaper under here to catch any glue. Okay guys, we got our back on, and just showing you a piece that we installed to help the locking mechanism be good and tight there. As you can see if I can get the camera in here, it fits perfect. And make sure that back piece is locked in good and snug. Won't be any movement from it. We'll come around to the back of the cab here, and you can see there, if we can focus, there we go. Turn it down, and if you hold this key just right, you can actually use the key like a little mini handle and pull the panel out. But you can see the lock coming up there. You can actually see the difference in the depth much easier here than what I was trying to show you earlier. So that piece of wood had to be installed, or else this door would be loose. And there's ways to get around that. It did come with a locking mechanism, like a piece there that had like a crook in it, you know. It did like a little dog leg, and it made it, you know, like it would be as tight as the side of this panel, but it wasn't nowhere near as long as this, and I didn't like it. So this right here seemed to be the best option. But anyway, see from the other side, you just push that shut, lock it, pull the key out. That's it. But anyway, there's another part of the cabinet done, and we'll get on to another one here in just a little while. Talk to you later, guys.